Welcome to another Tech Help video brought to you by AccessLearningZone.com. I am your instructor, Richard Rost. In today's video, we're going to talk about archiving records. I'm going to show you how to archive old data in your Microsoft Access database. Today's question comes from Iris in Garland, Texas, one of my Platinum members. Iris says, I've split my database and I have contacts in a file all on their own, but I've got a ton of them, and I'm approaching the 2 GB limit on file size. I don't want to delete them, but I don't know what to do here. Help. So it's not so much as a question as it's a call for help. Well, first I've got to say, Iris, if you've got 2 GB of contacts, you got a lot of contacts. There's a lot of information in there. 2 GB is hard to do. I've been working with Access for nearly 30 years, and I've rarely come across a database that's got 2 GB of information in it that's only text. Okay, are you sure you're not storing pictures or attachments or other things in there? Don't do that, okay? But assuming that's valid, you got lots of text. You might have a notes field with tons of notes in it. I get it. What you can do is you can archive that data by copying older records to a different database file. So in a nutshell, here are the steps. First, split your database. You've already done that, so you're good. All right, I would put your contacts by themselves in their own ACCDB file, which it sounds like you've already done. Step 2, we're going to create another database file, another ACCDB file just for the archived records. All right, if we take all the old ones and move it there, that'll free up a lot of space in your primary database. Then we're going to use an append query to copy the old records to the new archive table. We'll use a delete query to remove them from the original database, and then we'll compact both databases, and you should get a lot of space back. So now you're going to have 2 tables for your contacts, one for the active contacts and one for the older contacts. You can either switch back and forth between them, or you can use a union query to view them all together. I'm going to walk you through most of this in a few minutes, but first, let's talk about some prerequisites. If you don't know how to split your database or what that even means, go watch this video. Basically, an Access database can consist of a front end and one or more back end tables that have your data in them. This is essential for what we're going to do today. You should know how to get a value from an open form. We're going to use that for the date at which we're going to archive old records before, so you should know this. Go watch that video. Of course, you're going to have to know how to use append queries to add records to a table, and delete queries to delete them from a table. Now, you don't have to use VBA to do this. You could do it by manually running the queries yourself, but with just a couple of lines of VB code, you can automate the process and make it one click of a button. So if you want to learn a little VBA and you haven't done any programming yet, go watch this video. It's about 20 minutes long. I'll teach you everything you need to know. Don't be scared of VBA. It's super simple, as you'll see in just a few minutes. And if you are going to use VBA, I like to give the user a little "Are you sure?" prompt. Like, are you really sure you want to archive these contacts? Yes or no? So go watch this video too. Or I'm going to show you how to do it in just a few minutes. Okay, I made a folder on my desktop for my database. This simulates your database folder. And here I've got a copy of my Tech Help free template. This is a free database. You can go grab a copy off my website if you want to. You'll find links down below. Just so we don't get confused, I'm going to rename this the main database file. Okay, and I'm going to make a copy of that as well. Copy, paste. And I'm going to call the copy the archive database, just so we're clear as to which one is which. Now, let's go into the archive database, and I'm going to close this, and we are going to delete everything from this database file except the contact table, because that's where our archived records are going to go. I'm going to click on Customer, scroll to the bottom, click on the last item, hit Delete. Are you sure? Yep. All right, everything's gone out of here except the contact table. I'm going to rename this. Where are you? Rename. We're going to call it Contact Archive. Okay, let's open this guy up and delete all the records. Okay, that's just a copy of what's already in the other database. We're going to move stuff over here in just a minute. Now, this next step is optional, but I like to go into Design View. Okay, I'm going to make it so that this contact ID is not a primary key, and it's not an auto number. So turn off the primary key and switch auto number just to regular number. Where are you? Number. All right, save it, close it, and then reopen it. Okay, and if you add new records in here, you'll see you don't get an auto number. Okay, why do I do that? Well, if you archive a bunch of records, let's say you archive all the records, okay, and then you compact your primary database, well, you're going to get those auto numbers back, right? That happens when you compact an empty table. So now if you go to archive those records again that have duplicate auto numbers, you won't be able to add them to this table because you'll have duplicate primary keys. They're not necessary in this table because contacts don't have any child records. If you're doing something like orders, where the orders have ordered details, then you can't really do that. So you got to be more careful. But for this, that's how I like to do it. That way you don't have to worry about duplicate contact IDs. All right, so close that. And one more thing I'm going to do in here is go into File and then Options. And I'm just going to turn off my startup form because we got rid of it. And so now if I open up this backend database again, it won't bother me with that main menu. All right, so this guy's all prepped and ready. Close that down. Let's open up the main database now. Here's the main database. And let's link in that contact archive table. All right, external data, new data source, from database, access. We're going to click link to the data source, go to browse, browse to my desktop. There's my database folder, and there's my archive database. Hit open, hit OK. Pick the contact archive T, hit OK, and there it is right there. There's my linked table. Okay, everybody with me so far? Okay, now, if you're going to be archiving records as of a date, or even if not, I strongly recommend you use a date time to do this. For example, we're going to be archiving old contacts. So let's take a look at our contacts, see what we're dealing with here. Let me sort this by date. And we got 2020, 21, 22. Okay, it's currently November of 2022. So let's say I want to archive everything that is older than a year. Okay, so we'll get like all of these records here should get archived. Okay, now I'm going to specify that date here on the form. All right, we'll call this the archive date. And we'll take this text box here. Let's rename this to archive date. Get rid of the control source. I don't want a control source in there because if I set equal date something in there, the user can't change it. But what you can do is go to data and set the default value equals date minus 365, roughly 1 year. Doesn't have to be exact. So now that's the default option. The user can change it if they want to. All right, let's save it, close it, open it back up again, and there we go. I will explain why it's important to have that date field there at the end of the video. Okay, but for now, just use that date field, trust me. All right, so now we're going to make an append query to copy the records that are older than that date to the archive table. All right, so create, query design. Don't need that. We're going to switch this over to an append query. What table are we appending into? The contact archive. Hit OK. I'm going to bring in the contact table and then close the Add Tables pane. Now, unfortunately, since we're going to be using a criteria, we have to bring over the fields individually. We can't use the star. Yes, I know this is dumb, but that's the way it's built. So bring over everything. And before you experts go complaining, yes, it's better to do this straight in SQL if you know how, but I'm trying to keep this at a lower level for everybody, right? If you want to learn how to write this in straight SQL in your VBA code, I cover that in my SQL seminar. I'll put a link down below. You'll just have to be careful if you add any fields in the future to your contact table. You'll not only have to add them to the archive table, but you'll also have to add them to this query. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, for the contact date, I want a criteria right there. I'm going to zoom in so you can see it better. Okay, and that should be less than or less than equal to, whichever you want, forms, main menu, F, and then that archive date that we created. And I'm going to copy this because we're going to need it in a few minutes too in the delete query. Hit OK. There you go. All right, if you want to take a peek, take a preview without actually doing it, click this button here. Go to the datasheet view. All right, that will give you a preview of what records will be copied, but it doesn't actually copy them because you're not running the query. Make sense? All right, so that looks good. Those are all records that are older than that date. Go back to design view. Notice if you look in your archive table, nothing moved, right? We didn't actually run the query. Okay, let's save this guy. This is going to be my contact append queue. All right, that's my append query. There it is right there. Now, if you want to go ahead and run it now, go ahead, give it a run. Click run once. I've got my warnings turned off, so I don't see any, you're about to append 5 records, but I don't see any of that stuff. I got it turned off. I got another video on how to do that. Pretty sure it's in my blank database video. But if you go look at your contact archive now, there are those records. All right, so that's working. Let's delete them. Because we haven't deleted them from the primary table yet, right? This is part 1, the append query. Now we're going to make part 2. Now that we've copied them, we can delete the same set of records. That's another reason why I wanted to have that date there, because both queries are pulling off that date. There's more, though. It's coming. I'll tell you why later. All right, create, query design. We're going to go to delete query. Go to tables, bring in the contact table, close that. Now, delete queries are a little easier because you only got to bring in the field or fields that have the criteria in them. All right, so we're going to bring in the contact date. And then for the criteria, we're going to paste in that criteria that we copied from the other one. And paste. There it is. Okay, take a look at it. Shift F2. There it is. It looks right. Okay. And once again, if you want to preview these records, just click this guy, the data sheet view. There you go. It'll just show you that field, but it gives you an idea, right? All right, go back to design view. Don't run it this time because we've got to copy them first. If we run it now, it'll delete the records out of the original table. Save. Contact, delete, queue. Okay, now, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to do this manual and you don't want to bother with VBA or you like writing macros, whatever, you can just run this and then run that manually and you're done. Okay, if this is something that you plan on doing maybe once a year or once every couple months, sure, do it manually. I don't care. But if you want to join the cool kids and make a button that does that automatically with one click, well, here we go. You ready? It's super simple. You could literally do this with 2 lines of code, but I'm going to embellish it just a little bit. So let's borrow this hello world button that we don't use for anything else. We'll call this archive contacts. Okay, right click and go to properties. We're going to give the button a name first. I almost didn't, Alex. I almost forgot. All right, archive contact button. And now we're going to right-click and build event. That opens up the code builder, which opened on my other screen. Let me copy it over here. Slide it on up. All right, here I am in the archive contact button click. And if you're curious, yeah, the hello world button click is still down there. Let's delete it. If you rename a button that has code in it, the code does not get renamed. But anyways, all right, so all you really need to run these queries one after the other is 2 lines. Are you ready? It's do command, open query, contact append queue, and then do command open query contact delete queue. That's it. You're done. You just made that button code. Okay, it's all you really need. But if you want to make it a little more user-friendly, I would at least put a message box done at the end of that so the user knows something happened, especially if you've got warning messages turned off. Okay, now if you don't want to leave warning messages off for your entire database, you can turn them off right here by saying do command .set warnings false. That turns off those warning messages, but don't forget to turn them back on again. Do command .set warnings true. So you don't have to see the, oh, Access is about to append 15 records and then Access is about to delete 15 records. You can skip that by just putting those 2 commands there. I like to leave my warnings off at a system level, but if you're a beginner, you're just getting into Access, you might not want to do that. So you're aware of, oh, hold on, wait a second, I'm about to delete stuff. Okay, for you veterans, yeah, just leave it off. And then, as I mentioned at the top of the video, I'm going to put one more line of code in here before running something like this. That's potentially, could take a few minutes, or it's going to delete records. Okay. I like to give the user a "Are you sure?" right? If message box, "Are you sure?" right? Comma VB yes no cancel plus VB let's go exclamation. Whoops, VB exclamation. They're in the pick list. comma, and then the title can be archive contacts. Okay, that'll pop up a message box and get the response. If they respond with anything other than VBS, then exit sub. And I cover how to do that exactly in more detail in my message box video that I mentioned at the top of the class. Okay, I'm going to split this onto 2 lines because it's kind of long. We're going to put in a line continuation character there and do one of those jobs. All right? So really it's 2 lines of code, but it'll make it a little user-friendly, make it a little fancy, make it, give some embellishments to it, right? Okay, so we're all done. Save it. Close this. Close this. Save changes, yes. Let's take a peek at our tables. Contact tables got everything in it. Contact archives got nothing in it. All right, go back to the main menu. And now it's time to click the Archive Contacts button. Click. All right, are you sure? Yep. And then done. It happens really fast. Let's go check the tables. Contact T. All right, nothing in there before November of 21. And then the Archive T, there they are. There's all the older stuff from 2020 and before November of 21. That's the new record. Ignore that one. Now, at this point, you're going to want to compact both databases, especially this one. All right, database tools, compact and repair. All right, that just takes a second for me. But if you've got a big database, like you've got a 2 gigabyte database, Iris, so when you compact that, that's going to take a minute, especially if you're compacting over a network. Okay, but you'll get back all that extra space for the records that you just archived to the other database. And archive that one too while you're at it. Now, why did I insist earlier that it's important to use this date text box on the main menu? Basically, you want to make sure you have the exact same date time in both of these queries. You don't want to append one set of data and then delete another one. If you, for example, hard code that in there, like equals date minus 365 in both of these, and let's say hypothetically you run it close to midnight, okay, the append query runs, and if you're over a network or you're running a big database, it could take a few minutes to run that append query. All right, now midnight passes, and now your delete query deletes a whole day's worth of extra records. Or if you use now in there, and records are added in that few minutes. That's why I say use an outside variable out here, like this field, or you could use a prompt in your VBA to get that date. I actually had a situation where something similar happened to me. I wasn't archiving old data, but when I collect new member signups on my website, like people for the mailing list, I get their email addresses and stuff. It collects it on my website. And then my local access database, whenever I'm ready to send out a newsletter or something, I pull all those emails down, right, using a connection over the web to my local database. Well, I had a simple append query, which was just append all of the records from the website down to my local database. And then when that's done, delete all of the records in that website database. Well, you could probably imagine what happened. It was over the network, over the internet, in fact, so it was pretty slow. The append query took 2 to 3 minutes sometimes if there were a lot of emails in there. And then when that was finished, the delete query deletes them all. But if anybody signed up in that 2 or 3 minutes when the append query was running, right, they weren't getting copied. Because the append query pretty much looks at the record set when it starts. Okay? So even if you're copying all of the records, okay, you want to make sure that you specify a date range and use the exact same date for both queries. Even if that's now, set now in that text box or in a variable somewhere and have both queries look at that because, minutes could elapse between the time that the append query starts and the delete query starts. So that's just, I wanted to share that with you because I had that problem a couple of years ago and I couldn't figure out why I was missing records. All right, so there's my little personal story. Now, you've got your customer form, okay, and your newer contacts are all in here, your newer ones, okay. So if I go to like Jimmy Kirk there, his contact's in there, but I noticed that mine, right, contact T, there's no customer 1 in here. I had 2 contacts, they're gone now. Okay, so if I go to the contact archive, they're in there. There they are. They're older. But how do I inform the user that, hey, there's contacts for this customer? They're just in the other table. Well, we're going to cover that in the extended cut for the members. What we're going to do is when the contact form opens up, it's going to do a quick search with a DLOOKUP and say, hey, this customer has archived contacts. It's going to say, you know, there's records, but they're archived. Do you want to view them? Right? We'll let the user click on this bar, and then that'll switch blue, and it'll say viewing archived contacts. And you can click to go back to this if you want to, and there's your archived contacts. Okay? You could also use a union query to pull all of those together in one set if you want to make like a report. Okay? I do have a separate video you can go watch on union queries. That's good for reporting. Okay, but the record set that you get from the union query is read-only, so you can't make changes to it. So I wouldn't use that in my contact form. You want users to still be able to edit the contacts. So that's why I like this solution. We let them know that there are older archived records, and they can click to view them and edit them if they want to. Okay, but it's not a union query, so this is still read-write. You can still make changes and add new records. Okay? So that's what's covered in the extended cut for the members. Silver members and up get access to all of the extended cut videos. There's lots of them. There's well over 300 of them by now. Gold members can download copies of these databases that I make in these videos. And membership is very inexpensive. So what are you waiting for? Join today. Also, if you like stuff like this, I cover more about it, like archiving old customers and contacts together, in my Access Expert Level 15 class. I'll put a link to this down below as well. The full courses basically go in a lot more of a progressive nature, so that you learn this, then you learn that, then you learn this. I know with these tech help videos, I make you jump around a lot to a bunch of different videos because they're not in any particular order. But my course is. So, you know, Expert Level 15 follows by 16, followed by 17, and you learn stuff in the regular order. And I spend a lot more time going over stuff like this. Okay? So that is your tech help video for today. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and post any comments you may have. I do try to read and answer all of them as soon as I can. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, which is completely free, and click on the bell icon to select all to receive notifications when new videos are posted. Make sure you click the Show More link down below the video to find additional resources and links. You'll see a list of other videos, additional information related to the current topic, free lessons, and lots more. YouTube no longer sends out email notifications when new videos are posted, so if you'd like to get an email every time I post a video, click on the link to join my mailing list. Even if you don't want to become a member, feel free to donate to my tip jar. Your patronage is greatly appreciated and will help keep these free videos coming. I got puppies to feed. How do you become a member? Click on the Join button below the video. After you click the Join button, you'll see a list of all the different membership levels that are available, each with its own special perks. Silver members and up will get access to all of my extended cut tech help videos, one free beginner class each month, and more. Gold members get access to download all of the sample databases that I build in my tech help videos, plus my code vault, where I keep tons of different functions that I use. You'll also get a higher priority if you decide to submit any tech help questions to me, and you'll get one free expert class each month after you've finished the beginner series. Platinum members get all the previous perks, plus even higher priority for tech help questions, access to all of my full beginner courses for every subject, and one free developer class each month after you finish the expert classes. These are the full-length courses found on my website, not just for Access too. I also teach Word, Excel, Visual Basic, and lots more. You can now become a Diamond sponsor and have your name or company name listed on a sponsors page that will be shown in each video as long as you're a sponsor. You'll get a shout out in the video and a link to your website or product in the text below the video and on my website. But don't worry, these free tech help videos are going to keep coming. As long as you keep watching them, I'll keep making more, and they'll always be free. Now, if you have not yet tried my free Access Level 1 course, check it out now. It covers all the basics of Microsoft Access. It's over 4 hours long, and I just updated it for 2021. You can find it on my website or on my YouTube channel. I'll include a link below that you can click on. And also, if you like Level 1, Level 2 is just $1. Yep, that's all, $1, and it's free for all members of my YouTube channel at any level, even supporters. Want to have your question answered in a video just like this one? Visit my tech help page on my website. You can send me your question there. While you're on my site, feel free to stop by the Access Forum. Lots of good conversations happening there. Be sure to follow my blog, find me on Twitter, and of course, YouTube. Once again, my name is Richard Ross. Thank you for watching this tech help video brought to you by accesslearningzone.com. I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something today. I'll see you again soon.